so we'll just see what we can do and whatever. We talked last week, we've almost finished off last week, I think, at this point, but we talked about what do people see. Peter in Acts chapter 3 comes along, Peter and John come along, and there's this man begging, and as is the case for beggars, usually they're looking for something, but in his case he didn't actually get what he was looking for. And Peter and John say to him, "Look at us." And so he had to take his attention away from his normal day-to-day begging mindset and see why these people were asking him to look at them in particular. And so we asked the question, what would happen in our day and age if people were asked to look at us? What would they see? And I'll just remind you a couple of passages that we looked at, hopefully we looked at. 1 Peter 2 verse 2:12 says, "We as Christians need to live such good lives among those who do not believe, that though they accuse us of doing, or you of doing something wrong, they may see your good deeds and glorify God on the day that He visits us." Our lives need to be a challenge to the people that we meet, and that's not always easy. Often when people look at us as Christians, they see, perhaps perceive wrongs. Something that we are maybe not doing wrong, but they think we're doing wrong, and therefore they'll blame us or accuse us in some way because we're Christians to try and bring us down. That poor lady, I don't know what her situation is, but that one in the teacher who seems to be doing a real good job in these Arab countries with the kids, and she's made a mistake by allowing the child to call her a teddy bear or his teddy bear Muhammad, and something we wouldn't even think about. I said, lots of kids want to call their pets by their heroes. If you've got a pop star hero.
Seemingly the child's actually called Muhammad anyway. So
that's what it's called.
After him, and he feels really terrible that this is happening.
He's called his children. It's crazy, isn't it? So, and I thought about that later as well, because a lot of people who are Muslims who call themselves Muhammad, who are perhaps not the best advocate for Muhammad himself. So why do they allow people to call themselves Muhammad if the name itself is so sacred? But anyway, that's a ball game they'll have to play with. But the thing is that there's a lot of things that people do innocently, and probably are quite all right in and of themselves, but there are always people out there willing to use it as a handle to use against God, and use against Christ, and so on and so forth.
Was that a Christian teacher?
I don't know, but a lot of people who are in that situation usually have some religious background. She may even have been a Muslim, but a convert to Islam, and when we're working in school there, which is sometimes more likely because in some of these schools, some of these Mohammedans Muslims don't like what they would class as infidels teaching their children. So she may be a convert to Islam, we don't know. But the thing is, she's a foreigner. And that's put her up for somebody out there is looking for a reason for sticking a knife in, and any Westerner who's handy, they'll do it. So it could be, there are people out there who'll do it not only for religious sake, but for other instances. But in this case, Peter said our lives are such that we need to live lives that are sometimes above reproach, because people are always out there looking to bring down the name of Christ. Because of what they see. It's crazy, really, because we're Christians. And the very fact that we are Christians means we recognise we're sinners before God. We make mistakes. But the world doesn't see that. They think that today Christians must be holier than thou, they must be perfect in every way. And that's totally wrong. We recognise we need Christ to deal with our sin. And so the major difference between us and the world is they're sinners, and we are sinners, but we are sinners who recognise we're sinners, and they don't often. So that's the major flaw in how they see us. They look at us as perfect, and we certainly are not perfect. And therefore they look for things to bring the name of Christ into disrepute. Titus, Paul writing to Titus says the same thing. In everything set them an example by doing what is good, so that those who oppose you may be ashamed because they have nothing bad to say. Sometimes if you get a lot of verbal abuse, and maybe somebody's mate will turn around and say, well, why are you, they're working hard, they're trying their best, why are you giving them such a hard time? but perhaps something in their childhood or something in their background, maybe they feel a guilty conscience about something, and so the best thing, if you don't know about something, or if you are afraid of something, or you've had a bad experience in the past, you'll attack. And so that people will attack a Christian just because they're Christians, because of their bad experience, and they'll give you a hard time, even though you don't deserve it. But Jesus recognized that way back in Matthew 5, 6 and 7 in the Sermon on the Mount. He said, blessed are those who are persecuted for righteousness' sake. Okay? For doing right things. If somebody accuses you of doing something wrong, even though you're doing it right, and if they give you a hard time for doing something what they think is wrong, even though you're right, he says, blessed are those who are persecuted for my name's sake, he says in another place. So he expected it to happen. Matter of fact, in the last week of his life, he turned around and he said, do you think they're going to treat you any different from treating me? You know, what did they do with him? Spat at him, abused him, and ultimately killed him. He says, if you really stand up for me, do you think they're going to treat you any different? So in some ways we can expect the world not to understand us, and the world to want to abuse us, and the world ultimately want to say their side, because sometimes when they look at us, we are a reproach to them. It makes them feel guilty, or makes them more aware of their own sinfulness. And so if you don't like it, the best thing you do is get rid of it. And if we're the end product of that attack, rightly or wrongly, Paul and Peter both says, our lives need to be, strive to be as best we can be, so they don't have these things that can throw us. If we're being persecuted because we've done something bad, that's fair enough. You know, we deserve it. But if we're being persecuted for doing something good, then Jesus says, okay, don't worry about it, because that's understandable, because the world feels threatened by us. You know, the funny thing about Christianity is there's a lot of people who live better lives outside of Christ than sometimes we live inside Christ. And that's just, you know, a way it is. There's a lot of people who do a lot more good than I do, and yet they wouldn't claim to be Christians. And that's just the way it is. So it's a funny world, but in Christ we recognize our weaknesses, our failures, our lack, and that's the difference. We recognize we're sinners, so we need the grace of God in our lives, and that's the biggest difference between us and them. Okay? Matthew 5:16, in the same way, let your light shine before men, that they may see your good deeds and praise your Father in heaven. Our life is lived to reflect the glory of God, the goodness of God, and that's a big challenge to live up to. So Peter directed his gaze at him and said, look at us. Peter and John stopped to take notice of the man. They see more than a beggar, they see a man, they have a power to help. And I said last week, sometimes we often make these worldly decisions. You know, we see somebody and think, he's not worth helping. We already kind of prejudge them and throw them aside because we don't think they'll respond to the gospel or see Jesus. But that's difficult for us to make these judgments, but we do. Well, I do. I know. I don't know about you guys. We don't. But I often do. And then I kick myself for doing that. Because, you know, who am I to judge? I only see the outside. That God sees the heart. Remember the old, when they were choosing a king in Israel, and they had, they first of all chose Saul, because he was head and shoulders above everybody else, big strapping guy. And then when he come to choose the second king, when God chose the second king, and the prophet came along and he saw all the family, you know, they were all big lads or whatever, and you know, somebody missing. Who else you got? Well, there's only little David, the shepherd boy out in the field. Well, let's have a look at, and here's little David, and he's going to be the king, because God saw his heart, not the external that the world often wants to see, and that's a real key. We need to see people's heart. We need to be able to look into people's hearts. Look past their outward adorning. Look past their. I know I'm good looking, so I mean that obviously is a distraction. Yeah, distraction. So you've got to be able to see past these things and see the real person inside. And the gospel is for everybody. That's the beauty. The gospel. There's nobody bad enough that the gospel can't deal with, and we need to allow Christ to do that. Look at us. When the beggar doesn't receive alms immediately, he does what a person usually do. Looks for the next person If I'm not going to get arms for this pair of legs going past, then it's going to be somebody else. So he's already moved on. So that's why I said, Peter and God said, look at us. What did the man expect? He was expecting money. That's what he's been there for, year after year after year, day after day after day. He's sitting there, brought by his friends to sit there to beg, to be able to get his money, to earn enough money for his daily bread, hopefully, and then he can live for tomorrow. And the poor guy, he's looking for money, but what he got was a whole lot more. He got what he didn't expect. And in some ways, one of the times when Jesus was going to heal somebody, he more or less asked them, do you really want to be healed? Because when you think about it, if your life consists of a bunch of friends coming around, hammering your door in the morning, get up, we're taking you out, and taking you all the way down, leaving you in the same place, day by day, familiar surrounding, you don't have to worry too much. You don't have to think about where the next bread comes from, because people are going to be generous at the temple gate, and so you get his bread, okay? But if he gets healed, one of the first things he's got to do is find a job. There's no social security. He can't go back next day up to the same place in the temple and sit down and start begging, hi, I'm no longer lame, give me some money. It changed him. So it's going to totally change his guy's life. And there's a lot of things, sometimes we get comfortable. Sometimes if we feel disabled in any way, shape or form, we might become comfortable with that, even though at first it might be difficult. And then we might think, well, I can hide behind this. When somebody comes along and says, will you do such and such? We say, oh, I can't, I can't. Just can't do that. So they know not to ask you next time. But if you're whole and healthy and somebody comes along and says, can you do something? And there's nothing to hide behind. You're either going to go, no, I don't want to do it, or whatever. But you see, so sometimes the very fact that you've got some sort of disability, you can use it as a shield to prevent you from doing a whole bunch of stuff that people might ask you to do. A good reason. And that's why you get sometimes psychological dependence by some people. Almost like a victim status or almost like a patient thing. They like being patient, they like being looked after. Not because initially that was how they started off, but because now they're in the comfort zone. They've got to like it. I had a friend who was in care for many years. I think I told you about it once before. When he first was taken into a care home, he thought he was going on holiday. And when he was locked up, when he was put inside this big house with all these other kids, he only wanted to get back to his mum. So, of course, first opportunity he had, open the door, he shot out to the door and shoot back to Corby to try and find, what was going on, find out where his mum was. And of course they caught him and put him back in care. And he did it again. So the third time they put him back in care, they said, right. And they opened the door, threw him into this little room, locked the door and locked the key. You're going to stay there. And the only time the door was opened was when they gave him food. And even worse, one of the care guys who was looking after him turned around and every time he brought his food to him and says, you're never going to get out of here. You're never going to get out of here. And so for what, at first, you're inside four walls, and you're thinking, let me out, you're trying to, how do I get out of here? But very quickly, within about 4 or 5 weeks, those four walls became his comfort zone. And he didn't want to come out. Because he knew where he was, he knew he was getting his food, and he didn't want to face whatever else was out there. And so he becomes psychologically dependent upon the area he was finding himself in. That's tragic, really. It's really tragic, but it happens. And you hear some of these hostage situations where people become taken as a hostage, that a very short time goes past and they begin to identify, because they want to please their captors, because they want the captors to still feed them and everything else, they begin to identify with the captor's cause. And all sorts of things can happen psychologically dependent upon the people. So it's very easy to say, just give me the money. That's all I want, just the money. But they're going to offer them a whole lot more. What are some of the things that we get by becoming Christians we may not have expected? Here's us. Can you think of anything that happened in your life since you become a Christian that you certainly didn't have to think about? That would be one of the side effects. Side effect, you become a Christian. I learned history. I learned history.
Mm.
If you asked me before I became a Christian, what, you know, do you enjoy history? No. Push off. But the Old Testament, wow, a whole lot.
And I sort of thought I knew about God. Yeah. I sort of thought I knew like a lot about Him. Yeah. And then with becoming a Christian when I learned, like, it made me want to look into all of it. Know like and look into it, learn about it more. Know like it opened up a lot for me. You know.
And anything else? Unexpected side effects?
It gets you in invidious positions.
Gets you, I have to explain that one. Invidious positions, go on.
Yeah,
But you don't
well, you can invariably get drawn into discussions that you've had many times before and you'd rather not have them. But
you get challenged.
You do get challenged.
Sometimes when you think becoming a Christian, you think, oh, you know, I'm okay, I've got a comfort zone now, you know, I'm happy, I don't need any more. But of course, the gospel means it's not just you. You've got a light. You've got a light to the world. And so suddenly you're in the spotlight.
It's easier to opt for the
quiet,
keeping a low profile.
Yeah.
That's why you've suddenly got a responsibility, haven't you? To be, well, to live up to.
To strive to live up to be, yes. Okay.
To live up to, you know, being more like Jesus.
Things you would have done before, you no longer want to do them because of the negative.
Yeah. And it's easier just to go.
No, I can't buy stolen stuff no more. No, I used to get vintage and I can't do it no more.
Yes, it's in your pocket.
Yeah.
Goodness, it's costing a fortune to become a Christian. That's fine. So it is. I mean, it is. So this guy was looking for something, and he got what he didn't expect. And same with us when we become Christians. There's a whole bunch of stuff that opens up before us. If somebody said to me when I was young, I didn't. You know that I didn't speak a lot when I was young. You know, I was very quiet. So if somebody turned around and said, "I'd be teaching classes like this," anyway,
we didn't know you when you were 2.
a bit all of that. Okay.
You were a different shape too.
So it hasn't only broadened my mind, it's broadened other places as well. Okay. That's comfortable. Okay. So Peter says, "Silver and gold I do not have, but what I have I give you. In the name of Jesus Christ of Nazareth, rise up and walk." Okay. What I have, I give you. Now that's really amazing in a way. Because I don't have what you're looking for, silver and gold, but I do have something that you may not be looking for, but I know ultimately you'll want. You know? What I have, I give you.
It must have been quite a shock to him, really, wasn't it?
I was probably an understatement, yeah. This guy is about to have his mind blown away.
You wonder how he comes.
Years and years and years, unable to move. Years and years and years, looking into the temple and never get in there. Years and years and years of having to depend upon other people rather than do things for himself.
He wouldn't be trained to do any sort of work either.
Most Jewish parents taught their children, father would teach his child, because it usually had a trade, and they would pass the trade on. For example, if the father was a carpenter, and this guy couldn't move, he couldn't follow in his father's trade, and all those other things. You know, it's the things you don't often think about that are really the widest factors in this. And he's got friends here very, very soon who are just not going to believe what they see. Absolutely. Maybe his mum and dad's still around. Hey? Hi, Mum and Dad, I walked home. I don't believe it. You've never walked a step in your life. Goodness. So,
I know when Liz and I was in Jerusalem, there was an old guy sitting on a couple of steps, and he had his hands in a cup shape on his knee, and he was totally blind. And I've never looked into the eyes of a blind man, and it was horrible. Just to look into his eyes. And he was waiting for money. And the only thing I had shekels, but the shekels was worth between £5 and £20, and I didn't have a cheap one. I'm sorry, fella, I've got to give you what I've got. But I felt terrible when I walked away, because I would have liked to have given him something, and his hands seemed as if they'd been frozen in that position, waiting for somebody to put a coin or something in his hands.
I remember last time I went to the British Museum, I think I told you about this, there was a long corridor that you got, not the British Museum, the Science Museum, a long corridor as you got to it, and at certain points in the corridor you see a woman and she's clutching a little child, and as you get closer the kid begins to scream his head off, and you think, but what's happening is it's usually a Romanian woman, and the same baby stays the same, they switch women during the day, and what they do when people come close, they nip them. And the kid is being nipped all the time to cry, to bring sympathy out, so that you can, and give them some money. And that's how they earn their living. And then when they're old enough, what they do is teach them to pickpocket. From about 7 and 8 and 9. That's wrong. So anyway, sometimes, we are in situations where we think, well, I can't give you money. There's just no way I can help with money. But in the church in general, there's giving. It comes in all sorts of shapes and sizes, okay? So you have sometimes giving people time. We hear of a lot of people who are lonely, and a lot of people who are struggling, and they just want somebody to talk to. And for you to be able to give time to people is a tremendous thing. You'll make their day and make a huge difference in life. And that's, it's one of the things in this 20th century, or 21st century, we run into all it. Well, I do. I don't know about you, but at times I'm always chasing my tail. Time's always running away. This year, this is December. This is great. What happened this year? Somebody's nicked it. Oh dear. But time, if you can't give anything else, but you can give time, and it's the right people at the right place, that time is just as valuable, if not more valuable, than the silver and gold. The same with sympathy and kindness. If you can empathise with people, if you understand what they're going through, if you can be kind to people, sympathetic to people when they need it, be a shoulder to cry on at the right time. That's invaluable. It's more than money can buy. And it's something some of us are very good at, and you utilise that very well. And most of us have got talents in one shape or something. You don't always understand what they are. Talent for putting your foot in it. But everybody's got something. And I love that passage in Matthew 25 when Jesus turns around and says, give a cup of cold water to somebody's thirsty. If you see somebody struggling across the Sahara Desert and you load it down with diamonds and gold, and you go up to them and say, here, he said, here, have some of this. And the guy said, water. I've got no water, I need some diamonds. Push off, give me water. A cup of cold water to a really thirsty person is far more valuable to them than diamonds and the gold. He can give the diamonds and gold later, he'd appreciate that, but at the time, sometimes what you need is a cup of cold water. So, being helpful to people at the right time, in the right place, is worth far more value than sometimes what the world sees as the most important value, money. And it's not always the most important. Okay? So in his case here, certainly it wasn't like that. Peter said, silver and gold I do not have, but what I have I give you in the name of Jesus Christ, rise up and walk. There's a person, you can not even almost imagine what this guy is hearing and how long the penny takes to drop. Carried here for years, lying there, here's this nutcase comes along and says, no silver, no gold, rise up and walk. You think I'd be sitting here if I could walk? I wonder how long it took him to realise that he was being given the ability to walk. You just don't think about it. The story is such a few verses, a couple of verses, and it's just shot through. But when you stop and think of just what this means emotionally, psychologically, devastatingly to this young man, or this older man, this time. It's you know, he's going to be blown away.
Because he was in his 40s, wasn't he? About
Yes.
his 40s.
Yeah.
And you know,
That's a long, long time. You get a mindset. I mean, he's done this, stay in, day in, for years, knowing nothing else. And you can imagine.
But the other thing, he must have dreamed as well.
Oh.
He sat there, I wish I could do what all these people do walking past.
When you see a family going past anywhere, and the kids are jumping all over the place and they're full of beans, you think, well, I wish I could bottle that. You know, they are empty. This guy sees them walking in front of him every day. He sees kids doing what he's never been able to do. People do what he's never been able to do. Maybe people going about their business and doing things, you know, pushing a huge barrow with all sorts of junk in it, and he's like, oh, I wish I could do that. I wish I, you know, one day, if only I could do that. It's difficult to put into words how emotionally he would be feeling at a time like that. He's going to have his life just absolutely turned upside down. Every one of his birthdays, all his Christmases rolled into one. Christmas wasn't even yet. But, you know.
Plus, you're taught how to walk. You have those muscles in your leg that develop when you walk. Always had to happen to him instantly. He had to know how to walk. Because as a child, your mother takes you by the hand and helps you one foot in front of the other. He'd never had that because he couldn't walk.
If you have a bad flu, sometimes you've been in bed for a week or so, and you get up and you walk, you can't, you've got to take time to settle your butt. Yeah, all that.
Yeah.
All that's amazing. And the guy just doesn't just rise up and walk, as we're going to see. Rise up and walk. Some of these old pictures, old graphics artists from old books and stuff, really clever stuff, depicting the different things. Here's a guy rising up and walking. His old walking stick lying in there. Taking by right hand, he helped him up, and instantly the man's feet and ankles became strong. He jumped to his feet and he began to walk. And I went with him into the temple, walking, jumping, and praising God. He was a happy guy. Okay? It's interesting, Luke's the writer here, and Luke's a doctor. And he uses actually special medical terms when he talks about the man's feet and ankles became strong. It's a certain word he uses about them kind of melding together and becoming firm and stuff. It's a medical term that he uses, so it shows his background, okay? But this is made his day. Took by the right hand, raised him up, and immediately his feet and ankles were made strong. It says, the right hand is the hand of fellowship. And he was healed. It's an interesting thing, little things that come out in the thing. Here's somebody reading it, the right hand is the hand of fellowship, and being helped up by the hand of fellowship. How many of us at different times in our lives have appreciated being helped by somebody who extended the right hand of fellowship to us? There is power in the name of Jesus. Nothing else could do this for the man. And there's the name of Jesus. There's a controversy over that type of thing. Does our faith have the substance of silver and gold, or the power of risen to walk? Christ has changed us. Christ has made us different. In our old way of thinking and old way of life, and the old values of life, money for many people, money and power are the two goals that they go for. Christ opens up our life in a totally different dimension and helps us to see money is important, but it's only as important in a context. Without money, you can do nothing.
I just think you've got all this silver and gold and everything here.
Yeah.
Graham, yeah. And if you think today, these people that say they heal people and all that, all they're wanting is silver and gold. It's money to heal. Am I right? Yeah.
This is true. Put your hand on the TV. Send us £50. We'll send you a nice green handkerchief.
But are they using this example for what they can do? Are they using this example?
They would, all in Acts, both in the Gospels and in Acts, everywhere that Jesus healed, and all the instances of healing in the New Testament, they are actually claiming the same power by the same authority. which is an interesting contrast, as you say, in this context, where here's the two guys coming. They don't have money. You know, if they've got the ability to go around healing people, they could have made a fortune by now since the first day of Pentecost, but they didn't do that. Interesting, even when Jesus sent out the 70 in his lifetime, he says, don't take money. You know, just get enough for your food for each day. That's a totally different message to the one you get all the time on the TV and some of the people that we know today. Okay, but we need to recognise that we have within us a changed personality. We're going to live forever, but more than living forever, we're going to live forever with God, and that's something money can't buy. Okay. We're never to be satisfied with limited faith when the kingdom of God is a kingdom of power. We have the power through the gospel to change people's lives, to transform them, to change their thinking, to change their attitudes, and we need to recognise that. What somebody said, we need to protect the Bible. You know, we need to make sure that no, they don't destroy it or take it away from us. And one writer says, the Bible, let it loose. It'll take care of itself. And we need to let the Word of God loose in our lives and let it transform us and let it change other people that we talk to. Because we have, well, Paul talks about dynamite, dunamis, in Romans chapter 1. He says that the power of the gospel is dynamite, dunamis. And the old cliche, if you stick a tube of dynamite down inside you and you light the fuse, you won't be the same person. Okay? And that's what the gospel ought to do. It'll change us. It'll change our attitudes and change our outlook. It's got the power to change our lives, and more, it's got the power to change the lives of the people that we touch. And that's amazing. Okay? Our faith demonstrated by the power of God in our lives. God needs to make a difference, must make a difference in the way that we live, the way that we think, the way that we act. And I'm sure he does. 1 Corinthians 4 verse 20 says, for the kingdom of God is not a matter of talk, but of power. Revelation 19:2 says, after this I heard a sound like the roar of a great multitude in heaven shouting, hallelujah, salvation and glory and power belong to our God, for true and just are his judgments. Okay? So we've got dynamite. And to handle it with care, it's there for us to share. And leaping, he stood up and began to walk and enter the temple with them walking and leaping and praising God. This guy is Christmas come wrapped up and beautiful, and he can't contain himself. This man who had never been inside the temple now walks in praising God, walking and leaping, filled with joy and excitement. When we first become Christians, how do we feel? I felt pretty good. And sometimes, sadly, as we live our Christian life, sometimes we realise that it's dull. We forget the excitement we've been forgiven. God loves us. The simple truths, but the enormous truths that are found in the gospel. They challenged our mind once. They changed our mind once. And they ought to continue to do that. So this attitude should fill our hearts. So we think of what Jesus has done for us, and we encourage each other to remember what Jesus has done for us and through us, what He can continue to do us. Again, this, as Terry kind of said, the healing here in Acts chapter 3 is totally different in many instances from the healing we hear about today. It was instant. It was complete. We see a tremendous example of the true and typical example of the New Testament miracle. There's a man who's asked to rise up and walk and does so immediately.
Right. I'm just thinking, they didn't sort of say it's on the condition
No.
that
Of your faith.
Yeah.
That's
it's
come
not.
on. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
No, it's okay.
No, I was just going to say, it wasn't like, well...
It depends on him.
Yeah, it's like us saying, well, we'll help you, but only if you become a Christian, or only if you come to church, or only if, sometimes we can...
Make these conditions.
Make conditions.
We can be friends with people.
Conditions.
We can be friends with people only if they become Christians. And as soon as we find out they're not going to become Christians, we take our friendship away.
Yeah.
Jimmy Wigan in one of his books talks about that. He came off a plane in America, and it was a Hare Krishna guy met him. And the Hare Krishna guy kept pushing his book at him and said, "Here, book, it's free. You can have the book, it's free." And Jim said, because he'd seen it all before, he said, "No, I don't want the book, I don't want the book." And the guy said, "Look, it's free, it's yours, you can have it." And Jim said, "Okay." He said, "Okay, give me the book." So he took the book. And then the guy continues to talk about it. And then he comes to the boy and says, "It'll be $5 for the book." And Jim says, "But you said it was mine, it's free." And the guy said, "No, it's $5. And Jim says, "So it's not free?" "Well, it's only $5. And Jim said, "Well, you gave it to me, it's a free book." So the guy snaps the book back. And he says, "That's bad. Giving something to somebody, saying it's a free gift, and then giving conditions, and when they don't pay, you snatch it back." He says, "But sadly, we do that with friendship." Now, some people do that with friendship. We say to somebody, we'd like to be a friend. We'd like to be a friend. We want to help you. And then we get talking to them, and we encourage them. And then we're trying to talk about Jesus, and he said, "Oh, no, I'm not really interested in this Jesus business." We say, "Oh, well, leave him, push off and find somebody else." That's wrong, really. Our friendship shouldn't be conditional, with strings attached. We're going to be friendly to people. Jesus didn't do that. We're going to be friendly to people. We need to be friendly to people. And if they respond to Christ, excellent. I mean, your next door neighbour, Barry, he hasn't responded to Christ, you're still his friend. We can be friends with people, even though they may reject our Christ. But we ought not to base our friendship on only if, and all these conditions that sometimes we do. It's an interesting thing. Miracles were performed in such a way that their supernatural properties could not be denied. Okay? And instances of that. Everyone in Israel knew this crippled beggar. They could look at the man, they could tell he could never walk on his own, and everything in his legs was shriveled and wasted, it says. Now he could suddenly walk, run, and jump. Here's a guy that's seen day after day, they know who he is, they see the mess of him, no way the guy could walk, and suddenly he's walking. Can't be the same guy. It's the same guy. Wow. What has happened? And so it's incontestable. I've attended a whole bunch of faith-healing meetings in my short life, and some of them have made me very, very angry. Especially one at Eastwood one time. It was about 8 people come in wheelchairs, absolutely desperate. This is the last ditch thing. On the door it says, "Come and be healed, 7:30 at night." Magic. Oh, well, that'll do me. So they come in, about 200 people in the place, and he's 6 to 8 people in the wheelchairs. And the guy does all his business, and over the process of business says, somebody's been healed of varicose veins, somebody else has been healed of some other unseen error. And these 8 people, I said, what about these? This is the people you want to be healing. And he's going off, "Oh no, somebody's been healed of something else." And then you get the other ones where they touch them, and they just go over the thing, a whole bunch of them in a row. And you think, wow. But the same people won't touch the guy in the wheelchair. Because they know, forget it. But they do it on TV. But if you look closely on TV, quite often you see the same guy in the same wheelchair 6 months later coming in to be healed again. Because he's not really.
On the loop.
There's nothing wrong with him. And sadly, even in Kettering here, I was quite a number of years ago now, but some of the top faith healers in Britain were over in Kettering, and the stuff they were claiming to heal people of, it just wasn't true, which is tragic. In South Africa, it's very popular, and there was a huge meeting in South Africa, and this group brought in a bunch of doctors. And then mingled with the crowd and asked people and tested people and asked different things before the thing. And then when they were healed, they went back and saw the same people. And out of all the people they tested, there was not one miracle, even though that night hundreds were supposed to be healed. And that's, I remember a show, I don't know whether I've talked about this before, I remember a show in it was one of the top American healers. And you saw, they had a video on it. And when people in the crowd were mingling, ready to come in, there were some of his people who used to be in the crowd with him. And they'd be saying, "Oh, what are you doing here then?" "Oh, no. And then when you come in, you have to sign a card and saying, you know, if you've got any illnesses, blah, 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 my name is James, blah, 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 and so forth. At the actual healing meeting, here's a guy on stage, he's saying, somebody out there who's got such and such, and he's going to be healed. He's going to heal peace then. And there's a guy in the office, we got the video, the guy in the office through the back, and he's looking through all these cards that people filled in, and he's choosing certain individuals, and he's reading out into his mic to talk to the guy in the front. And at the end of the night, when the video people actually followed up on some of the people who were supposed to be healed, and actually showed them the video, they still wouldn't believe they've been duped. They still wouldn't. They could see, they could see the guy flooding, and they could hear the guy doing all this stuff, and they still wouldn't. No, he is a main healer. He's a man. Tragic, really. But in this case, there was no saying. And we're going to come on to the idea of also that it doesn't depend upon the individual's faith. If you have the gift of healing, you have the gift of healing. It doesn't depend upon the person being healed. It depends on you, because it's your gift God has given you to use. Okay, Acts 3 verse 8 to 10. Went with him into the temple courts, walking and drumming, praising God. When all the people saw him walking, praising God, they recognized him, the same man who used to sit and beg at the gate called Beautiful. They were filled with wonder and amazement at what had happened to him. Important feature, objective evidence that the healing had occurred. Verse 14 says they could see the man who had been healed standing there with them. There was nothing else they could say. It's a bit like, remember when Jesus healed Nicodemus, and the Nicodemus? No.
Nicodemus
Lazarus. Yes, tight. Jesus healed Lazarus. They wanted to kill Jesus, but they wanted to kill Lazarus even more because he was a walking tribute to the fact that Jesus had raised him from the dead. So they wanted to kill that poor guy again. But what a way to go. Okay, they could see the man, okay? Witnesses were willing to confirm the miracle. What are we going to do with these men, they asked. Everybody living in Jerusalem knows what they've done, an outstanding thing, and we cannot deny it. This was the conclusion, verse 16. Bogus or phony healing claims hurt the cause of Christ. Okay, people who pretend in the name of Christ to do things and are shown up not to do them, it brings Christ into disrepute. I sometimes want to kick my TV in and watch the God channel sometimes, because some of these guys, and I know, there's guys named out there that were shown to be frauds 20 years ago, and they're still on the TV today. And how on earth do they do that? Why do the people allow them to get away with it? And you know, it just makes, well, I should. Okay, many people already accuse or think that Jesus Christ is phony, and all these things, these false miracles, just emphasize, you know, we knew Christ is phony, because look at these, they're phony. And that's tragic to the cause of Christ. Okay? And the other thing about some of these people is why are they down at the hospital? You know, why aren't they around seeing James? Why are they doing a lot more good than they do, or they claim to do these days? Authenticity and the ring of truth is crucial to our message. We need to be consistent. We need to be true to Christ. Phony healing claim hurts the cause of Christ. If we know people are lying or foolish in an area where we can check, why believe them in an area where we can't check? Okay, we've got to be consistent. It undermines the message of Christ. Can a loving God and say there are no miracles today, otherwise prayer would be null and void. But that doesn't mean to say it's wrong to question those who claim to have the power of apostles today and say, come along at 7:30 and be healed. Okay? God's God. Okay, He can do whatever He likes. And that's at the end of the day, that's true. And we, if prayer doesn't work, if prayer can't change things, if people can't be affected by prayer, then we're wasting our time. But we know God does listen to prayer, and therefore it's up to Him what He does in certain circumstances. We've got no problem with that. The problem is when somebody comes along claiming the powers that were given to the apostles and says he's using those powers today by the same authority today, that's a different matter. Okay, that's where their weakness is. And we don't do it. So an authentic healing, we know the condition is real and pre-existing. We know the condition is actually healed. We know the healing was not coincidence or psychological. or in remission. And all the people saw him walking and praising God, and recognizing the one who, and they were amazed. Okay, this was a well-known beggar. People worshipping in the temple recognized him. There's no doubt who the man is, and they're confused and concentrating on the miracle. I'm going to stop there. The next part of chapter 3 and into chapter 4 is the result of the miracle. Peter is going to use this situation to preach a message, and he's going to use over a chapter and a half to do it. And so, as we go on, we're going to have another look at the confirmation of the